Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, and it's time for the Hurricane and Hurricane HD Hurricane video for Monday, July 2nd, 2012. Wanted to take a look at climatology, points of origin for the first 10 days of July. Things start to get a little bit more active between Africa here and the Lesser Antilles with a concentration of origin points. These are the beginnings of tropical cyclones over about a 100-year period for the first 10 days of July. And you can see that we start to get a few of them between the Cape Verde Islands and the Lesser Antilles. The Gulf of Mexico, definitely the concentrated hotspot, and then some subtropical development perhaps with different fronts that have come off the U.S. and have led to the eventual development out over the subtropical Atlantic. The East Pacific remains very active in July, as you would expect, and lots of points of origins near the coast of Mexico. Most of these will trek out to sea. Some of them do curve back towards mainland Mexico. In a month, this map will look really busy with lots of red dots. But just wanted to point out that this time of year, we do have to start looking in the areas east of the islands here, especially as we have, 2, 4, 6, 8 different development points over 100 years. So not too often that we have development that far east and south, most of it concentrated Atlantic Basin wise in the Gulf of Mexico. Looking at sea surface temperatures anomalies for today, you can definitely see the El Nino starting to bloom here off the coast of South America as these waters warm relative to normal, and they're going to probably continue to do so. But as I have mentioned, all of that against this backdrop of what is called the cold PDO, or Pacific Decadal Oscillation, and that just means that the Pacific as a whole turning colder than normal on average. It's actually a lot more complicated than that, but just for simplistic purposes, you have a very cold Pacific overall, the entire basin here, with this El Nino trying to develop in between all of that, kind of like pouring a hot cup of tea into a cold pool of water. It doesn't make much difference. So we're going to see what influences this warm anomaly has on the Atlantic Basin, because typically a warmer Pacific leads to more rising motion in the atmosphere down here, and then those upper level winds tend to cut across the Atlantic like this, and then these tropical waves that come off and move into those upper level winds get nixed before they even can develop. Speaking of the Atlantic, basically right at normal to just a little bit above normal in the deep tropics. We do have this band of fairly significant anomalies in the subtropics, and then beyond that, pretty large area of colder than normal sea surface temperatures. A lot of this really doesn't matter yet. It'll matter pretty much in about 6 weeks when the meat of the hurricane season arrives, from about August the 15th through the end of October. And you really only need about 80-81 degree water and perfect atmospheric conditions to get strong hurricanes. So the anomalies is interesting to look at, but you don't have to have very much above warm water. The anomalies don't have to be that high to have very serious hurricanes. Still just an interesting novelty to check on from time to time. So the next several days look very nice in the tropics. You can see the intertropical convergence zone here, tropical wave, and a little bit of activity in the Pacific, but nothing significant at all, mainly because we are in a sinking motion, or subsidence in the atmosphere right now, isn't as indicated by all this brown. This is the current analysis. This is 5 days, 10 days, 15 days from now. And it looks like at least the next week or so in the Atlantic Basin, things will stay nice and quiet, and we don't expect any activity to form at all. Maybe a little disturbance trying to get its act together off the coast of Mexico and the southeast Pacific, but even that going to be slow going overall, because the upward motion, you see all this brown in here, stays pretty firm over the next week to 10 days, not allowing for that divergence aloft in the atmosphere. In other words, the atmosphere is more sinking than rising, and without rising motion you don't get a lot of convection, and without convection you don't have the mechanism to drive the heat engine of a tropical cyclone. So a nice and quiet 4th of July week ahead. Enjoy it at the beach wherever you are. Watch out for those afternoon thunderstorms, which can pop up from time to time, but the tropics will not be an issue. Again, I am Mark Sudduth, my website, hurricanetrack.com. As always, an honor to be able to provide these video blogs for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. And with that being said, I'll have another one for you tomorrow.